Picture the autumn chill of October, 732. Rain slicks the French mud. You are standing in a shield wall, shoulder to shoulder with desperate men, clutching a rusted iron spear. Ahead of you, the horizon is thick with 70,000 you-made horsemen. Their banners snap in the wind. This is the Battle of Tours. In our timeline, the Christian leader Charles Martel stood like a rock. The Muslim advance was shattered. The course of Western history was set. But what if the shield wall broke? What if Martel fell, his skull crushed by a mace, and his army scattered into the dark forests of Gaul? Let the dominoes fall. With Martel dead, the road to Paris lies wide open. There is no other force in Western Europe capable of stopping the Caliphate's momentum. Within months, the grand churches of Aquitaine are converted into houses of prayer. The call to prayer echoes off the stone of Notre Dame before it is even fully built. But the conquest does not stop at the borders of France. The you-made army pushes north and east. Picture the Rhine River, once the brutal frontier of the Roman Empire, now a bustling trade highway for merchants from Damascus and Cairo. Within a generation, the kingdoms of Anglo-Saxon England, fractured and weak, bow to the governors of Córdoba. Rome itself, the ancient heart of the Western Church, sees the crescent banner raised over the Vatican. The Pope flees into the cold, trackless forests of Scandinavia, or the high peaks of the Alps. Europe is no longer a collection of isolated, warring feudal states. It is the northernmost crown jewel of the largest empire the world has ever seen. We often call this era the Dark Ages. But under the Caliphate, the lights are switched back on. In our world, medieval European peasants lived in squalor, illiterate, terrified of the unknown. In this alternate world, the transition is shocking. The Islamic Golden Age floods across the English Channel and the Rhine. Libraries rise where muddy forts once stood. Imagine walking through the streets of London in the year 900. Instead of open sores and wooden shacks, you see paved roads, public baths, and schools. The language of science, philosophy, and government is no longer Latin. It is Arabic. Highborn youth from Munich to Madrid study the algebra of Al-Khwarizmi and the medical texts of Ibn Sina. The dark, cold monasteries of Germany are replaced with grand academies of translation, where ancient Greek texts Aristotle, Plato, Galen are not forgotten, but celebrated, debated, and expanded upon. And this is where the timeline truly fractures. Because Europe is integrated into a global trade network stretching all the way to China, ideas move at lightning speed. Papermaking technology, captured from Chinese soldiers in Central Asia, arrives in Paris and Frankfurt centuries ahead of schedule. With cheap paper and a unified language spanning 3 continents, information explodes. The printing press, when it is inevitably invented, does not just print Bibles. It prints astronomical charts, navigational maps, and medical treatises. The scientific revolution does not wait for the 17th century. It begins in the 11th. Picture a world where the telescope is perfected by astronomers in Oxford-on-the-Thames, working alongside colleagues from Cairo. Imagine Islamic scholars mapping the stars from observatories built on the cliffs of Dover. The Industrial Revolution, powered by coal from the Ruhr Valley and guided by the advanced mathematics of the Islamic East, begins while our world is still fighting the Crusades. But what about the rest of the world? Without the fall of Constantinople to block European trade routes to the east, there is no desperate search for a western route to India. Christopher Columbus never sails. Instead, grand fleets of Islamic European ships, outfitted with lateen sails and advanced astrolabes, set out from the ports of Lisbon and Ireland. They do not cross the Atlantic out of desperation, but out of pure scientific curiosity. When they land in the Americas, they do not bring conquistadors bent on destruction, but merchants, cartographers, and scholars. Imagine a peaceful exchange of ideas, where the empires of the Aztecs and Incas are not wiped out by disease and steel, but become trading partners in a massive, global commonwealth. How would we look today? The geopolitical map of our modern world is completely unrecognizable. There are no world wars fought over European nationalism, because the concept of the nation-state as we know it never develops. Instead, a vast, loosely federated global caliphate, united by faith, commerce, and science, dominates the globe. The skyscrapers of New York or London are adorned with intricate, non-representational geometric patterns. The international language of business and technology is Arabic. The call to prayer is broadcast not just across the Middle East, but over the glittering, high-tech skylines of Paris, Berlin, and Chicago. We would live in a world that is technologically centuries ahead of our own, yet culturally rooted in the deep spiritual and philosophical traditions of the medieval East. A world where the Dark Ages never happened, replaced instead by 1,000 years of light. It is a staggering thought. A single afternoon of rain, mud, and steel in central France changed the course of humanity forever. The world we live in today was forged in the Shield Wall at Tours. If you want to keep exploring the hidden turning points of history and the myths that shaped our world, make sure to hit that subscribe button. The past is full of secrets, and we are just getting started. See you in the next timeline.